A very warm welcome to this session of Let Us Talk It ZIPINAR. We name it ZIPINAR because we want to zip in as much of information as we can give to our community, only with the hope that we have an informed and empowered community. We have started this webinar series for the past 2.5 years, and we hope that it has helped many. And because we know that it has helped many, because people have reached out back to us, thanking us, collaborating with us. And if you want to know more information or want to be part of Let Us Talk It, please visit our website, letustalkit.com. And we even do webinars with our youth. Empowering the next generation is our goal. And doing so, we have over 50 youth who work with us. It's free for all, and they join on their own to get their the topic out there in the community, what they are passionate about. So we have two groups of youth session, one younger youth group and another older youth group from 6 to 11 and the older from 12 onwards. So we do a proper prep sessions every Tuesday and Thursday, and then we go live on Friday and Saturday respectively. And if you want to have your kid join the webinar, the youth webinar, you can even register going to our website, letustalkit.com/youth, and register them there. Having said that, we are ready for our topic today. And our topic is really two very strong topics, I would say, different, but if you actually go ahead, you can link both of them. So the first topic we have is the 8 worst attitudes to never have. So now you'll know the right attitude that can lead one to success and the wrong ones that leads to failure. So for that, we will be this topic will be discussed by Nisha. And knowing a little bit about Nisha, apart from being very particular and prompt in her responses and being very professional, she's also a performance coach and founder of PCM Training Academy. And in her expertise, she has skill training, performance enhancement, HR strategic planning and execution to large and small corporates. And she has been honored by the Ministry of Skill Development and Industries, Z24, Business World, British Council, Business Jito by Dr. Ujjwal Patni. And as for her, she has her MBA from Tennessee University, BULATS from Cambridge University, and Performance Management from Harvard. And when you have so much of accolades going with you, it's, you have that mindset also, and she guides and empowers parents of special needs children as a community service. Absolute honor to have you, Nisha. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Julan. That was such an amazing introduction, and I feel honored, privileged to be here at your platform and connecting with your audiences. Thank you so much, Let's Talk It, for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts on one of my very dearest and closest topic on attitude. So great, brilliant. We are all set to talk today about something which actually, frames our thoughts. I'll be sharing with you about, one very beautiful line which says that it's not, things that happen to us that decides our destiny. It's about how we respond to them that actually determines our destiny. I totally believe in this thought that, there are situations, good situations, bad situations. Each one of us face so many of these situations, and it never happens as such that, we do not have challenges in our life. In fact, you just simply cannot determine what's going to happen the next moment. Given that a case, it's not actually that there are some people who do not face tough times, but it is actually how they respond to those times that would decide as to what will be the result, what will be the outcome at the end of the day, and how their future would be, how secure their future would be, how progressive they would be able to be. So that's the bottom line. Talking about today's topic, I would like to quickly share my screen here. I hope that everybody is able to see my screen.
Yes.
Great. So yes, so we're talking about the worst attitudes. Now, the reason why I have picked up this topic, there are a lot of ways to talk about attitude, and the best way to talk about anything is to talk about positive. But given the current scenario, most of us really are addicted to negativity, and we all know what we really need to do. But the most challenging part is being aware about what we really should not be doing, so that we are able to overcome that. So in today's topic, more than talking about what is a positive attitude and what is the right way to think about things, I'd be rather focusing on those attitudes which actually are detrimental to our growth, those attitudes that does not allow us grow, those attitudes that act as mental roadblocks and the real blocks to our success. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Right, so as you could see on my screen, you would see a beautiful quote that says that our life depends on the way we think things are and not the way they are. So most of the times it happens that situations are just the same, they are just the same, but how we look at those situations differs. Let me share with you a small little example here. I'll share with you one experience of mine some time back. This experience is about a time when it was heavily raining here in India, and we had a client of ours who had who had their employees actually working from home. They were into cold calling, and they were supposed to sell a product, and that was a vacuum cleaner, and they were to go to the prospects houses and sell them. Now, since it was raining very heavily, I'll share this experience of mine wherein one of these employees actually opened up the window and just looked outside and said, "Oh my God, it's a very tough and very sad, bad storm, and what a bad way to start a day. It's so sad that I would not be able to actually make up to my appointments because it's raining heavily like cats and dogs, and I'm totally screwed up, and my targets won't be achieved." And he was terrible. He was feeling terrible about the situation. In the same scenario, there was the same one other employee, of the same organization, the same city, the same location, who also looked out of the window, saw the same storm. And guess what he said? He said, "Oh, amazing, it's raining so heavily, and it's such a great opportunity that I would find everybody home. All the decision makers would be home, and I would be able to make a closing so quickly, so easily, as compared to people telling me, oh, I'll have to ask my husband, or I'll have to ask my wife, or I will have to ask somebody who's not present at home." But then today there would not be such an excuse, and that's how he took up the call, and he got decked up with required the raincoat and the umbrella and everything that he would require to actually face that situation and go ahead and close the deals. Now, given such a scenario, the point here is that it's actually not about what actually the things are, the situation that is. It's about how you think that you can, make out of it. It's how you respond to that situation that makes the difference about, how it's going to end up. So, with that note, we are going to talk about certain attitudes that actually should be avoided. Once we are aware about these attitudes that are a total no-no, it will take us a long way. To help you understand with this, I want to give you a small little example about a honeybee and a housefly. Now, why the reason I'm talking about these two insects right now here is that let me share with you that we all understand what a honeybee does, right? Talking about the approach of a honeybee. Now, what is the honeybee actually looking for? So a honeybee is looking for nectar, right? So what does it do? So it goes from a flower to flower, and all it is looking for is the juice, the right juice that it requires to create the honey. Now, imagine a scenario wherein you see a beautiful garden which is full of amazing roses and different types of flowers. You name a flower and it's there. The honeybee would fly from one flower to the other. Given another scenario which is full of dirt and trash, and yeah, there are a few flowers around. So, what do you think would the honeybee actually be looking for? So it's very obvious that whether there's a lot of clutter out there's too much of trash out there, but still the focus of the honeybee is going to be flowers. It will look for flowers, it look for the nectar that it wants to build for the honey it requires, and then it'll go ahead and get back to work. So it doesn't matter what is around it, what matters is where the focus is. Similarly, if you talk about a fly, what would be a fly looking for? So given a piece of a beautiful, neat and clean, or a yummy cake, a sugary cake, and given if there's a shit next to it, what do you think is the fly going to pick up? Right, it's definitely going to pick up the trash, the shit out there. So here is it, that's exactly what we need to understand, that it's basically the type of mentality, it's the kind of attitude, it's something that we focus at. So if we are looking at something like the nectar, we would be finding nectar, but if we are looking at something very negative, that's what we will be finding out. So given that a scenario, what are we focusing at? If we are focusing at certain things which are totally negative around us, then definitely our response to it is going to be negative. So let us understand that this is totally a matter of choice, whether you accept it or not. It is totally a matter of choice as to how you want to look at things. So things are going to be the way they are, but it is only about how you decide to choose to how to respond to it, to how to focus at it, to how to look at it. So given that scenario, I'm going to share with you the first danger attitude, the first attitude that we really need to avoid. Now, just to help you, remember some of these 8 attitudes I'm going to talk about, I'm going to call it as deep walk. So it's easier for me also to recall. Deep walk, wherein I'm talking about DIIPWOC. So talking about the first attitude that I'm going to share about is doubt. Now, doubt is something that most of us, when we encounter something that we've not done before, we have a doubt. Now, this doubt would begin with self-doubt, like whether I will be able to make it, whether I'll be able to do it or not. Now, the point here is that given that self-doubt, how am I going to be able to take this as a challenge? How am I going to be able to go ahead and deal with this? So given that doubt, do you think that I would really be able to make the maximum of myself? Do you think that I will be able to give the best of myself? Now imagine this scenario that you have a friend of yours with whom you're very comfortable talking to, and you're sharing your ideas. And given another scenario wherein there is a group of like 1,000 people sitting in the audience, and you have to share the same idea with those people who are like strangers to you, and you have a doubt, oh my God, would I be able to make it really good? So the moment I have this doubt, given both of these scenarios, where do you think you'd be able to do better? So if your attitude is about doubting yourself, if you have an attitude about doubting about what would happen, what would go wrong, what if this doesn't happen, when you have this kind of a doubt, you would not be able to give your 100%, because most of the times our brains would get into a shutdown mode or a standby mode, where it freezes our thought process and doesn't allow us to be creative enough and take up risks. So the first attitude that we really need to change is doubting, because you will never know unless you take a dive and do what you really want to. So if you keep doubting whether this will be a success or a failure, then probably you will never know how it actually tastes unless you go ahead and try it out. The second attitude which we really need to be aware of, which is not right, is indifference. Now, what do I mean by indifference? Indifference here, I mean, is not really bothered about what's happening around me. So if somebody comes and says that, oh my god, there's a major short circuit in the next door, I mean, how does that matter to me? I'm already too occupied, too busy. Now, if there's some problem happening in the organization, and there is a discussion happening about certain challenges at work, and about the major setbacks that would be possibly coming down our way around a couple of months later, and we decide to not react to it at all, and just staying indifferent doesn't really matter. Or say, for example, somebody comes to you and says that you need to do it this way instead of that way, and you say, okay, sure. And somebody comes up and says, hey, you're doing it wrong that way, you better do it that way. Perfect, fine. Somebody comes and says that you are a fool. Oh, I understand that. Somebody says, oh, you are brilliant. Oh, thank you so much. So it doesn't really make a difference, and I'm just happy with the way things are. So if you do not have that spark within you, if you do not have that fire within you to go ahead and make that difference, and whatever is given to you, you accept it, and you are happy with things that are happening around you, then probably you're not really a player in that stadium. You are just a spectator, just a cheerleader who's there to clap hands on people making certain achievements and making things really happen, and you doing nothing about it. So that's it. That's an attitude that we really need to avoid. The next attitude is indecisiveness. Indecisiveness is not making a decision and doing something about it. So it's like, my favorite quote that says that stop hatching your problems, right? So there are times wherein, a hen sitting on a couple of eggs and hatching them, what would happen? So yeah, definitely she would be hatching chickens out of it in a couple of, days or weeks or so. But then, similarly, when I'm talking about hatching the problems, it's like sitting on your problems for too long and doing nothing about it. So when you do nothing about your problems and just sit and hatch them, you will multiply them. And given that indecisiveness, you are actually postponing your problem, and there is a definite possibility that you would be multiplying them. So given such a scenario, it is very important that you make a decision. Either do it or decide to not do it, because by not deciding, you are actually making a decision to not to decide. And when you do not decide about certain things, you are actually multiplying your problems. So make a decision so that you have a clarity in your mind, and your growth could be manifested well in your mind itself. The next is pessimism. Now, pessimism is something that we have all experience, maybe with our own selves or people around us, because these days, with the kind of social media content that we are all being fed with, we totally understand that where does pessimism really get into us. So basically pessimism is about talking about the poor thinking habits that actually keeps people poor. Now, what do I mean by poor thinking habits? By poor thinking habits, I mean that if I keep thinking negative, that, oh my God, what if this doesn't happen? Oh my God, what if that happens? So what if this happens? What if this doesn't happen? This will never allow me to take up risks. This will never allow me to take up challenges. And given such an attitude, I would never be able to look at the brighter side of life. So if I really want to grow, I really need to give up on pessimism. The next is W, that stands for worry. Now, worry is something that we do wherein we have an unimaginable situation. So there's my favorite quote that I connect with worry. Worry directly connects with fear. So when you are fearful, when you are scared about certain things, you start worrying. For fear, I say that it's about fictitious events appearing real, FEAR. Now, what do I mean by this is, like, say for instance, there is a huge swimming pool in front of you, and you do not swim very well, and somebody
somebody says, come on, dive in and start swimming. Now, before you actually take a jump, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? If you do not swim well, the first thing that comes to your mind is definitely, what if I drown, right? Because I don't know good swimming. So did you really drown? Did you really actually jump into the pool? You did not. But what you could actually visualize is, if you jump in, you are dead, right? So that's what makes you worry, because you are not able to see the other side, because there is darkness and you do not know what will happen next. But then thinking about what will happen next and planning about it is a good thing to do. But sitting on a rocking chair which takes you nowhere and keeps you only busy is what worry does, right? It doesn't take you anywhere. It doesn't take you to a solution. So sitting and worrying about things is not going to help you come to a solution. So stop worrying, take the situation in hand, and decide whether you can do something about it or not. The moment you think that, oh my God, I really can't do anything about this, and it is out of my hands, it's out of my control, then why worry about it? Start focusing on things that is really in your hands. Why to waste that present moment in sitting and worrying about things that you really can't control? So definitely, worry does nothing but actually multiplies your problems, and multiplying it on above what you already have, right? So stop worrying and start doing certain things. So that's about worry. O stands for overcautious. Overcautious is, whatever I do, mapping the number of steps that I need to take to be out of this particular place, and being so very particular about, okay, let me not go wrong anywhere. Let me not go, let me not make a wrong decision anywhere. What if, I make a big loss? So yeah, there are times where, our past experiences help us make this decision that led us be overcautious. But I would rather say that, being cautious is important. I understand that there would be times where, they have not given us a very a good response and have not been lucky for us. Things might have gone wrong, but then it is important to understand that if you stop being overcautious, and if you actually taste that thing, what you really want to go ahead with, then what would happen? So think about, what if I actually go ahead and try it out? So rather than just being overcautious and sitting in a corner and not trying out things is really not advisable. So be cautious, take calculated risks, but do not just be overcautious all the time, because everything in life is risky. The moment you took birth is risky, getting married is risky, having children is risky, even moving out of the house is risky, working in such a COVID environment is also risky, right? But then still we are working, right? So we're still taking up the risk, we're still taking up the necessary precautions, and still we're going ahead and living our life. So live a life, live a life. Don't just sit in a corner and just try to safeguard yourself. And the second O is about overconfidence. Now, the confidence and overconfidence has this very simple thin line of difference, which says that confidence would be something that I aspire for perfection, but if something goes wrong, I am prepared to correct it. I'm prepared to correct my mistakes. But when I'm talking about overconfidence, it is that I am too perfect. I'm too perfect to make any mistakes. So nothing can go wrong, and I am just amazing. I'm just brilliant. I can just go ahead and do it. Now, the reason why I'm talking about overconfidence here is that overconfidence certain times leads us to lack of preparedness, because we feel that, all right, I know everything and I really don't need to prepare so much because I already know about it. But certain times there are times where we put our credibility at stake because of the overconfidence. So knowing the other side and not feeling that the opposite party would be weak enough, but rather thinking that they themselves are smart enough. I am smart, but the others are as well smart too. So this overconfidence should be something that should be taken care of. Preparedness, being confident is definitely good, but not overconfident. And the final one is complaining. So complaining is an attitude wherein, most of the time, why it is this, why that. So if there are people who would look at things which they have the choice to make, right? The way we talked about the first story that I shared with you. So there are people who make a choice to complain, and many of us, it's because of the conditioning, right from our childhood days, and the kind of society that we are in, wherein we are used to complaining about people, we are used to complaining about situations, we are used to complaining about the education system or the government, and the kind of resources that are made available to us. If I'm not able to grow much, maybe financially, then probably I did not get the right resources that I could grow, or the support system, or else I would have really done well. I wish the system would be a little better, then things would have been much better. So every time when you sit and crib about your life or about things that are in your life, you are missing out on the good things in life. So instead of sitting and complaining, do something to change it, right? Because complaining is not going to help you much. Reason being, when you complain too much, your entire focus, your entire energy is towards negativity. So everyone has this choice to make. The day outside, the weather outside is whether you can sit and crib about the weather, or you could look at certain good things that are happening. And COVID has been such a great teacher for all of us. Like, there were times wherein we were into a lockdown, people were not able to move out of their houses, but then there were two ways to look at it. One could be people sitting and complaining about, oh my god, I'm not able to go to work, and my life, my entire freedom is taken away from me, and there are so many things that I wish to do. I wanted to go for a vacation and spend time with my friends, but I'm not able to do it. But the other way to look at the same thing was, we were all able to spend a lot more time with our family, that we were able to spend a lot more time with our own selves, weren't we? And we learned so much more, to be more resilient in such difficult times. So that's how life is all about. As to, we really need to focus on things that help us look at the brighter side of life. So it's about, instead of sitting and complaining about things, let us go beyond and look at it at the brighter side. So that was about DIIPWOC, wherein I mentioned about D stands for having a doubtful attitude, always doubting yourself, doubting anything, any task that you take up, and having a disbelief in yourself. So never doubt yourself. The second thing that we really need to understand is not being indifferent. We really need to respond to things. Third thing that I talked about, the next I, was about indecisiveness. That is, if you do not like something, please make a decision about it, right? Do not just sit there and do nothing about it. P, wherein we talked about pessimism, that is, do not have a very negative attitude, be positive about things, look at the brighter side, stop worrying, that was a W. We talked about not being overcautious about things, that was the O, not being overconfident, and the C stood for complaining, that is, stop complaining and start looking at the bigger picture. So that was all about my presentation today, about things that we wanted to discuss, and that is about changing our attitudes, changing our approach towards life. Because there are times wherein the decision is up to us. The decision is as to how we want to look at things. If I decide that I would want to look at the brighter side of life, my response towards it is going to change. So a very simple equation that I love is about E plus R is equal to O, wherein E is any given situation, R is your choice of response you make is going to determine your outcome. So here, the R that I'm talking about is the response, and that response has to be one of the good attitudes. Look at, be cautious about how you are actually responding to it, and take a note about, take an introspection into the way you are deciding about how you are planning to respond to things. Because in the garden of our life, there are going to be flowers which are beautiful, and there are also going to be weeds around. So it is our decision whether we just are complacent about things and not really doing anything, or if we are really complacent and do nothing about it and happy with the way things are moving and just be ourselves, then there are times that negativity would creep in and you would not even notice. So there will be weeds around, and you need to take a call to do something to take away those weeds. So every time there is a negative thought, a negative attitude, all of these deep work attitudes that I shared with you are all those negative weeds in the garden of our life. And if you do not pull away those weeds, if you do not take care about those weeds and be a guard towards it, then those negative thoughts are going to ruin your garden of life. So with that note, I am ending my content sharing today, and I hope that all of you would make a very wise choice about your response to life, about your approach to life, and have a very learning and a positive attitude. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That's really well delivered. Yeah, I think everybody would give a round of applause by the from where they are sitting. So yeah, it's something also that I'm not sure if it's just me, but it's really gonna help me as well in university, because there are things that we are thrown upon and then we don't know what to do. So this is a good learning experience. So is there any questions or insights? You can mute.
Yeah, it's such a great presentation, very crisp, and I think each minute you spoke made a lot of sense, Nisha, and some of the pictures are going to stay as a very good memory and to keep
Amazing.
us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, open for any other questions. You can unmute and speak, any of you.
Hi, this is Sheeta. I really enjoyed your points and I really like the slides because, like Srini said, it is crisp. It's to the point, but so thought of one thing as in, like, when I see my kids or someone else not following those things, like if they are complaining and if they are doing whatever that we shouldn't, I also have this awareness now that whatever I'm learning is for me.
True.
It's not go around pointing a stick at others saying like, well, looks like you're complaining. That's a very bad thing for you. So
Correct.
one thing I've learned is to step away. When I notice behaviors I don't like, it's my decision to be part of it or step away.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm remembering too. Thank you so much for...
It's a pleasure, Sheetal. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Jitendra, raise your hand. You can unmute. And we got John too. Raise the hand. You can.
Nisha, it was a wonderful presentation. Yes, thanks for your invitation also. Just I want one clarification. What is the borderline of confidence and overconfidence? How we can differentiate it? Because sometimes we may not be able to identify whether it is confidence or it is overconfidence.
True,
Any measuring idea?
Absolutely, Mr. John. So yeah, that's a very valid question, because as I mentioned that there's a very thin lining between confidence and overconfidence. So here I would rather say that it's about you could measure it with the amount of preparedness that you have. If you're prepared about anything, if you're willing to be prepared to face the consequences, to take up risks about what you're doing, and any situation that you are about to face, how equipped are you? So there are times wherein we make a very wise choice about not being prepared by, I really don't need to be prepared for this, whether it is a business deal or whether it's a presentation or whether it's just a conversation with anybody. If I make a choice of not doing my homework well and not preparing well enough because I think that I am smarter than the other person, then there are possibilities that I am overconfident. So the thin line to measure, and differentiate between confidence and overconfidence would definitely be about your preparedness. So if you come what may, I am prepared, and I am putting my efforts for the same, then definitely I'm confident. But if I'm not willing to, prepare and do my homework, then I'm overconfident.
Thank you, Nisha. Thank you very much.
Pleasure, Mr. John.
Jitendra, you're raising your hand.
Yes, sir. Today's session I mostly like honeybee nature and honeybees like, dislike, and most learning attitude by honeybee. Thanks,
True.
madam.
Thank you. Thank you, Jitendra, for joining in. Thank you.
Yes, madam. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm not seeing any other hands, so let's proceed to the next topic for today. So world is revolving around with data, the new fuel. So organizations are spending billions to make meaningful insights from data. And here we have someone to tell us where to start and what we should look forward for. He is a solutions director with more than 21 years of software solution industry experience with more than 6 years of big data and analytics, and more than 5 years of AWS Cloud expertise, and certified by AWS with machine learning and big data. And without further ado, let me introduce to you Mr. Shajee Pulukkool to speak about big data and AI or ML on AWS. Take over, please.
Thanks, John. Yeah, for that quick introduction, and I really appreciate Nisha. It was an awesome session. So, just to give you a thought, I have imparted some of your learnings immediately in my system. By means, what I want to tell you is, for the past 3 months, I had a perfect internet. Everything was working fine. So today, when I open my session, I see there is a patchy internet. I immediately switched on to my mobile. I mean, that's where I'm working on. But then your positive thought vibes, I just imparted it, right? I thought, okay, what's going to go maximum wrong? Some of you are going to say, no, I'm not able to hear you properly. Can you repeat the statement again? I mean, that's the positivity I bring in. So you got a student immediately in me now within a minute. We need to impart and shed away. We'll just make sure that's how we are going to take it up and move on. Yeah. Thanks, Nisha. Really appreciate it. Okay. Let me just start with our technology content and then okay, I would say, yeah. So being that said, I would appreciate if anyone couldn't hear me, or if there is a breakage, if someone could let me know, that would be of help, so that I'll play it accordingly. So as introduced, I'm Shajee Pulukkool. I'm working as a solutions director with Rapidar. So we are advanced cloud provider for AWS Cloud provider, in fact. So we do consulting and solutioning for multiple clients. I mean, that's the kind of technology that we deal with. So I have got exactly 30 minutes. I mean, slightly less than 30 minutes now. And I'm handed over with, in my plate, 3 hotcakes, right? Cloud, AWS, big data, and AI/ML. So it looks like I have to portion that like 10 minutes on each of these. So you might be really on a roller coaster ride. So fasten your seatbelt and get it. So because these are like subjects which people do expertise in AI/ML. It's like 10 to 20 years. That's exactly the amount of time which guys spent on it. Big data is another area where 10 years is what they are trying to get an expertise and things like that, and cloud as well. So 1 to 2 years. I mean, that's the kind of measure. So we're going to shrink down and make it a core, and we're going to talk about that, all those things in maybe 25 minutes, right? So that's the kind what we're going to see now. All right. So cloud now. So in case if you are not a technology guy, and you might be hearing a lot about cloud, so the whole world want to be moving in cloud. So some analytics says Fortune 500 companies have not yet completely moved post this pandemic. That's almost every enterprise, every bank, every area wanted to move into cloud, because I mean that's the next place where you can actually reside and start getting your things done, right? Now, what exactly is cloud, by the way, now? So those of you guys who might have some expertise in terms of technology, you can go and touch your server, right? So you may feel good about walking into a data center, feeling your servers, switching on, switching off, dusting it. I mean, that's the kind of affection you show towards your server, right? And in comparison to what really is a cloud. So I'm specifically talking about AWS Cloud or Amazon Web Services Cloud, right? So something which you have been seeing and watching or peeping through your window and seeing all this because it was just next door of yours, this data center, what you're talking about. In case if you have your office in second floor, your data center might be on third floor or fourth floor. That's how exactly it used to be previously, right? From there, you're moving your entire ecosystem to somewhere AWS data center. That means that's what cloud for us is. So your server, your switching on, your broadband connection, your every single security aspect, your inverter, digitization, webcam, security camera, every single thing is being taken care by someone else, which is like Amazon, right? So they're going to take care of it, and you are through a software layer, you're just trying to access those servers and things like that. And those of you guys are in the technology part, maybe 10, 20 years. For us in India, so if I want to get a server, I'm not sure how many of you are there in such kind of a business or dealt with such kind of a thing. So in order for me to get, I'll pace down slightly because I know that could be an internet issue for someone for hearing. So I'm just going to slow down. So if I want to get a server 20 years back, right, it's like 6 to 7 months before I actually get my server, right? And specifically in India, when I go to, mostly I'm going to get my components from Singapore. When I ship it, it's going to take me, a process itself is going to take like 2 months, right? After I get my server in, now next part of it comes in like, whenever someone comes for implementing that particular server, he's going to come and don't see a cable which is supposed to be there, and that's missing, right? Now you have to get your vendor again, call them back, say that you have missed the cable, and then he's going to send the cable to you. Now, all your good luck, it will be dealt, the customs would have given a non-clearance just for the cable, right? So this is how the kind of environment that we dealt with, right? 6 to 7 to 8 months before I get a server and start implementing my solution. That's my traditional world. Compared to the new cloud world, where I get my solution, 5 minutes, I have my massive, even a supercomputer, I can get it, right? It just depends upon how much money is there in my pocket right now. And I can really create a supercomputer. Me as an individual can create exactly the kind of power which a bigger enterprise like IBM or a bigger Accenture, that's such kind of a company which they can do. They might be doing it for 1 or 2 years. Exact same machine, I can just send it 1 or 2 hours and get that innovation done. I mean, that's the kind of shift in the mentality when we are talking about cloud environment, right? So it's in everyone's reach now. And that's one of the reasons that you're seeing so many innovations, so many new startups coming up. That's simple because the innovation that cloud has brought in the ecosystem, right? Now, the difference between our traditional data center and the data center available in cloud, which I spoke about over here, is simple. Now, see over here, all the blue buttons that you can see over here are the data center that is available in Amazon, which you and me can swipe your card and start using it, right? And these data centers are more than maybe 200 to 300 data center combined together, and you can start accessing it. That's exactly what it is, right? So there are a lot more concepts because we are going to scratch on top of the surface of what exactly is the cloud. That's the reason I'm just sticking on to 200 to 300 different data centers combined together across the globe. And he's going to tell you, Amazon is going to tell you, or AWS is going to tell you. Now it's up to you. Click on a button. You can, from India, without any passport, without any flight, within 3 seconds, you're going to reach North Virginia, start spinning up your instances and start creating your innovation over there. I mean, that's what a new cloud era or the journey has given you. Right? That's something what it is. So what I'll try to do is, so I'm just looking at my counter as well. So I have 17 minutes now. So I'll just even walk you through so how an AI ML based solution can be deployed within 10 minutes, how easy it is than investing huge amount of money on a data scientist kind of a thing, right? Next, we're going to talk about what exactly is the big data ecosystem. So how does big data in cloud makes a difference? Big data is nothing but previously, if you see anyone want to do some sort of an analytics or some sort of an insightful, meaningful insight, how much sales did I do? What is the profit that I made? Excel sheet. That's exactly what you used to rely on, right? I just sum it up and I see today I made 10,000 bucks, right? How much is the cost for me? That's going to be, again, I sum it up. I say the cost for me is like 4,000. So that's what's the profit for me? 10,000 minus 4,000 is going to be 6,000 profit. All we deal with was my that limited. I did not have bulky, massive amount of data. So previously, I used to have a GB or maybe maximum TB of data. That's the kind of data which you used to deal with. Now, compared to today, petabytes of data. That's something which is very, very common among some of the industries now, right? So that's not something really, really big. So that's kind of environment what you're talking about when we talk about big data, a massive bulk of amount of data. And what is the importance of getting so much of data, or how exactly it's going to benefit me getting so much of data? I can predict my environment with much more accuracy if I have too much or huge amount of data with me. Now, why am I talking about a big data and combining it with cloud? The reason, simple reason behind a traditional big data ecosystem to set up, me as a practitioner or me as an operations guy would require almost a month to set it up, cleanse my data, setting up a pipeline that needs to go to another system in place. And there should be multiple systems it needs to go and traverse multiple occurrences. And then I make a meaningful insight. I mean, just like the way you can see the funnel, it's all the raw garbage data is going to come in, and then a cleansing process happens. And at the end of it, you're going to get meaningful insight. And based on that, you can have your prediction in place. You might have seen. So whenever you watch your Netflix channel, Netflix movie, immediately it's going to give you a suggestion of another movie, which is similar to your choice. How exactly are they knowing what exactly is your choice and what sort of a genre is what you'll be preferring to watch? And Netflix says that 80% of their selling happens with the recommendation. So they recommend based on your personality or based on your watching pattern. I believe now this might be a good fit. Why don't you go ahead and watch it, right? That's exactly what Netflix is doing for you. And when your selling happens, that's exactly what Amazon is doing for you. And how exactly this prediction happens with much more pinpoint accuracy, because you're dealing with a huge, massive amount of data. And with the help of a cloud, instead of taking almost 1 or 2 months to set this environment, I can get this all environment set in 2 days, right? That's the beauty of cloud environment or cloud, big data on cloud. So there are multiple tools and services and available in cloud environment, which allow you to do that. I mean, that's the kind of technology shift. You don't have to really worry about too many number of components. It is, life has become much easier for an engineering guys or an infrastructure guys. You can just make things plug, knit together, and get an insight created in maybe 2 or 3 days, and your entire platform is ready. Now, you as a businessman just need to take your data and then feed it into the system. It's going to give you a meaningful insight. I mean, that's the kind of revolutionary change that cloud has brought in. Right? Okay, so that's about a big data on cloud. And switching on AI, ML, artificial intelligence. So I believe there's a small mistake in that part. And machine learning on cloud, right? So artificial intelligence and machine learning. So the screenshot, what I've put over here is, these are nothing but what we call as services that's been provided by Amazon for coming up with your machine learning solutions. Now, what do I mean by that? So Amazon has given so many number of services. You just need to go click, and then based on your use case. So think of it now, you have a use case where you want to convert your text to some sort of an instruction. I mean, Alexa, like everyone might be knowing Alexa now. So what's fueling Alexa? That's something known as a Lex that you can see over there, right? So those kind of components are being handed over to you as a customer. Now it's up to you. Take it up, plug it, make a beautiful architecture out of it. So visualize these services from AWS as Legos that's being given to you, right? Just something given to your kid. And now it's up to you how beautiful is the architecture that you're going to make. So it's your imagination, it's your creativity that could result into a great product. I mean, that's exactly what we are what I'm trying to say over here. What I'm planning to do is, I mean, just showing the slide alone as a technology guy, maybe slightly boring for you. So I just want to show you a real scenario over here, a quick demo where I wanted to show is, think of you wanted to help your police department, right? So there is a jailbreaking happened near to your place, and the police guy is absolutely no clue. The jailbreaking, the prisoner has already ran away, and now you don't have any clue where exactly you have to intensify your search, right? I can show you this same use case if you pick it up in Amazon services within maybe 5 minutes, I can come up with a solution. Okay, so be prepared for a live demo over here, and that's where I will wind up the session too. So I'm just going to go to AWS environment now real quick. I'm assuming you guys can see my screen too.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, all right, great. Thanks for the response. So when I click, I've already logged into AWS services. If I open up, these are the services that's been provided by AWS for you, right? And this is the focus area that the focus services that you're talking about, right? One simple service. So our use case, as we already discussed, there is a jailbreaking happened to your place, and you want to help the police department to where to intensify that search, right? Where is the location where you should be actually searching for that thief, so that you can get catch hold of that thief in a much faster way, right? Let me just bring in that now. Rekognition, that's a service. I'm just going to do a quick demo of it, try demo. What I want to do is, there are so many number of features. So picture and hand it over to this service. He's going to predict what is there in your picture. I mean, that's like a great wealth of information that you can provide. I mean, that you can get from this tool. I'm just going to do something known as a face comparison. Okay. So you do have celebrity recognition. I mean, you try taking your photo and try picking it over here and keeping it. So you know whether you have fallen under this category of celebrity or not, right? Yeah, jokes apart. So we will try to put a face comparison now. Okay. So what I'm trying to do is, let me just get you a prisoner first. I'm just going to get a prisoner's photograph. Yeah, so check just maybe, and prisoner. That's our prisoner for today now, right? And then what I want to do is, so he has done an early morning jailbreak. Now we need to catch this guy, right? So where do I need to intensify my search? So a CCTV footage camera, CCTV footage from multiple locations is the one which you want to collect, right? And I have collected one of the CCTV footage where, so some of you might have seen, I'm not sure how exactly, some of you might, a movie fan, so you would have seen old Hindi movies where the Hollywood, the Bollywood movie. I'm not sure how much the Hollywood takes such kind of adoption. So whenever someone does a jailbreak, so you can see immediately the person who has come out of the jail is going to go right in front of the stage and start making the dance, and then the police would not be able to recognize, right? Some of the strange stories which you have gone through, right? So that's the kind of scenario we're talking about. So this is the CCTV footage. Let's bring it up. No, that's the lesson number, guys. So I'm having slide. Okay, that's the group picture. No, I do have very limited number of. I just want to show you slightly more in number, so that you understand the powerfulness of the system. Okay. So AI. All right. remove the, okay, yeah, there you go. Okay. Insert. I do have a small image where I can show, but that's not really something which I thought of showing. Looks like that image suddenly vanished somewhere. Yeah, I would use R&D and codes, design codes. Okay, maybe I may end up showing you the existing smaller version of the image itself. I think I accidentally got that image deleted. That's what really would have happened. Yeah, that's really what happened. Okay. Okay, no, I think that's pretty strange. But anyways. All right, so I'm just going to pick it up. So we'll see. I mean, this is not what I really intended, but let's see whether it's able to detect the guys over here, and then come up with the prediction. What really went wrong? So I just want to upload, and then pick up a group picture, and then choose. Right? Yeah. So yeah, looks like even my connection. I just want to make sure you guys are able to hear me. Yeah, we have 3 more minutes.
Yes, we can still hear you.
Okay, great. Yeah. I think my connection is getting it into, yeah, there you go. So after doing that prediction, what it did is, you can see a human naked eye, if it's tried to do a comparison of this guy with some sort of a mustache and all those things, comparing to a picture over here, he's coming up and saying with 94.9% accuracy, I'm saying the guy standing over here is the guy who. So the moment he moved out, he camouflaged himself, and that's how that's the picture. But he's telling this guy is the one with I'm giving you information with 94.9% of accuracy, right? So scenario over here could be in a programmatic world. I'm going to take like 100 or thousands of such kind of pictures, and I'm just going to do a comparison over here, and all automated. You don't need to manually do it. Through a program, 4 or 5 lines of code, that's exactly what you need to do, and it's going to immediately come up with your result and say, that's the guy whom you're looking. And these solutions have been implemented by, I believe, either Chicago Police Department or California. I can't recall where exactly. One of the police departments in the US, also in India, and also I believe there was an NGO who was missing child, right? So this app has been utilizing this behind the scene, this service for implementing all those things. So what cloud makes the difference is, traditionally, if I wanted to bring in such kind of an algorithm or or intelligence in my app, it's going to take me almost maybe 1 to 3 to maybe close to 1 year itself. It may take me to get this, and I may have to make a biggest data scientist algorithm. Instead, I can just use it as plug and play model and get these innovations created, right? So that's exactly what I meant. Okay, moving on. So that's really what I had. So in case, what's next? From India to Chicago, right? In 4 hours, is that a dream or is it going to be a reality, right? And spending $100, right? If you have not heard of anything of this sort, I would recommend you guys to just go and Google Boom Supersonic, right? Something which is, it's an AI AWS fueled product that's getting built. They claim within next 10 years, they should be able to have a mechanism, a fuel efficient, a green bio fueled supersonic, which can travel from any part of the world to another other part of the world within 4 hours, spending $100, right? And that's like an amazing story for you, right? So apart from that, if you want to go deep dive into a lot more machine learning world, OpenAI GPT-3. Google GPT-3 or go to a YouTube video on GPT-3. You can see within maybe another 5 to 6 years, the way we see our outlook of the world itself is going to completely change, right? So there's going to be a massive amount of technological change because of the GPT-3. That's nothing but Elon Musk OpenAI framework that's been available for you, and that's becoming too much of innovation supplied on the machine learning and AI ML space. So I would recommend you guys to go for that searching. So now, in case if you have anyone over here planning or getting confused how exactly I will make my first move to AWS Cloud, we at Rapider, that's the firm I belong. I mean, we provide cloud consulting partner. We are an advanced AWS cloud consulting partner. We help you migrate your workload to a cloud. And if someone thinks, okay, now where can I learn these things? Is there someone who can help me out? So there's going to be a cloud for AI, which I was part of it some time back. It's been taken up. They're going to have a very, very innovative module that's going to come up. Even a non-technology guy who has absolutely no clue on technology, they're planning to build a platform in place where you can learn AWS Cloud, Big Data, and AI ML. I mean, that's the plan with which Cloud for AI is planning for the launch, right? That's really what I had, and hope you were able to hear me. I'm just taking it as a positive note, influence from the Nisha's topic, what she's covered. And at least you're audible and you're able to get my sessions covered. I'll just stop it with that note. Thanking you. I'll open up for any questions that you guys have. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Shajee. That's very insightful. And yeah, so even with the difficulties, you're still able to perfectly deliver the message you wanted people to hear. So yeah, any other person who'd like to ask or interested in sharing their insights, please unmute or raise your hand. Okay.
Hello, hi, Shajee. It was a great, presentation. I think pretty useful for all the, aspirants, for the beginners as well as for the senior consultants in this space. We'll definitely touch base offline, especially in the trainings and where we constantly get requests, and we can try to route some of them. Yeah.
Sure, Srini. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, perfect. So I cannot see any other hands. So yeah, I think it's more than an hour of the session right now. Thank you so much, speakers, for your time, effort, and the knowledge you have imparted to all the audiences from the platforms also that we were live. So Thank you so much. So, and also, just to let you know, for our audiences, we also have our live youth Let Us Talk webinar every Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. As always, you can join our preparation sessions every Tuesday and Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time by registering at our website, letustalkit.com/youth. For younger youth group, we have live webinars every other Friday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And this week, we have the topic chores and its impacts. So hope all can join this youth webinars, which should encourage our youth. All right. So thank you so much for your time, everyone. And we can conclude the day and enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks.